With Andor Season 2 just around the corner, there's one major question still on the minds of Star Wars fans. Are we going to finally see how Cassian Andor meets K-2SO?
You met K2?
Charming.
The wisecracking KX series security droid quickly became a fan favorite in Rogue One. And his relationship with Cassian is one of the film's strongest emotional bonds.
Thought I told you to stay on the ship.
You did, but I thought it was boring and you were in trouble.
But with that said, the movie never really explored their relationship in all that much detail, and it definitely never explained how the pair came to be a package deal when taking on the Empire.
I'll be there for you. Cassian said I had to.
That was actually something that they explained in a comic that came out 1 year after Rogue One was released.
Rogue One? There is no Rogue One.
Well, there is now.
The only official version of the pair's first encounter comes from the 2017 one-shot comic creatively titled Cassian and K-2SO. But given the Star Wars franchise's track record of translating moments from books or comics to the screen, we can't say for certain whether or not Andor Season 2 will keep this origin story intact, or if they'll modify it, or even skip over it entirely.
I've got a bad feeling about it.
Quiet.
What?
Don't you worry, because Sublight's got you sorted as we explore the existing story of how Cassian met K2. We're going to analyze just how Andor Season 2's structure might influence whether we see this moment play out. And we're also going to weigh up Star Wars' tendency to tweak or otherwise retcon established stories when they're retold on screen.
Quiet! And there's a fresh one if you mouth off again.
We'll take them from here.
Could this be another case where canon gets rewritten? I'll go over all that, plus some new information from an interview with Andor series creator Tony Gilroy, as he provides a kind of definite answer as to whether or not we'll see the pair's first interaction on screen.
Doesn't sound so bad to me.
But first, if you're new around here, welcome to Star Wars Sublight, your home for the finer details of that galaxy far, far away. If you like what you hear in this video, I'd love it if you could give it a thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comments section.
You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight!
Let's dive in. So if Andor Season 2 follows the established timeline, then Cassian Andor will meet K-2SO about 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, because that's precisely when the Cassian and K-2SO comic, written by Duane Straczynski and illustrated by Fernando Blanco, takes place. Given the known structure of Season 2 with weekly drops of 3 episodes and each drop comprising of one standard year in a galaxy far, far away in the lead up to Rogue One, then this story would play out at the second to last week of the show. By this time, Cassian's already a seasoned rebel spy operating in the shadows of the Empire.
We're in a war. You wanna fight?
According to the comic's story, Cassian and 2 other rebel operatives named Kurtas and Rismore are sent to a remote colony world to investigate an Imperial cruiser, one that has recently docked on the planet. The rebels hope to infiltrate the ship and steal security protocols to give themselves the edge against their Imperial enemy. Cassian's done this kind of work before. In the 3rd episode of Season 1, he tells Luthen that this type of work comes naturally to him. Except this time around, things quickly go wrong. The rebels are able to locate the cruiser in an underground Imperial facility, but accidentally trip a security alarm and alert the local Imperial garrison,
Blind! Deploy the garrison!
forcing the team to abort their mission and flee. As the rebels make their way back to the surface, they find themselves face to face with a KX series Imperial security droid. The droid wastes no time attacking the intruders, using its immense strength and combat programming to overpower Cassian. During this struggle, Cassian manages to access the droid's internal systems and begins deleting sections of its memory. And although Cassian takes a beating in the process, he succeeds in wiping enough of the droid's programming to render it open to new commands. The newly reprogrammed droid follows Cassian's order to help them escape, but there's a catch. Due to the rushed and incomplete reprogramming, K-2SO has no filter and is completely incapable of lying.
He tends to say whatever comes into his circuits. It's a byproduct of the reprogram.
This would go on to be one of K-2SO's most defining traits in Rogue One. With Imperial forces closing in, Cassian's rebel allies create a distraction, allowing him and K2 to escape aboard a stolen ship.
I haven't completed my calculations.
I'll make them for you.
As they make the jump to hyperspace, it becomes clear that we're looking at the beginning of a very powerful partnership, one that will play a massive part in destabilizing the Empire and paving the way for rebel victory on a galactic scale. This comic story has been the official origin of Cassian and K-2SO since 2017, but now that Andor Season 2 is reintroducing K2 on screen, we should take a closer look at whether or not this version of events is still true to the story of their first encounter, or if Lucasfilm is preparing to rewrite history yet again.
Did you know that wasn't me?
Since the monumental canon reset in 2014, when most media outside of episodes 1 through 6 and the Clone Wars TV show were relegated to the Legends category, we've come to learn that canon isn't always set in stone. What was supposed to happen as a result of the reset was one simplified, true, and continuous story, one without contradiction. But in reality, a decade after the relaunch, it's the stories that begin in books, comics, or animated series that often get adjusted or outright rewritten when adapted to the screen. Andor the series has already taken liberties with Star Wars lore to fit its more mature, grounded tone, so it's possible that the show will reinvent Cassian and K2's first meeting to align better with the themes of the series. We've seen this happen before. On the more forgivable side of things, Ahsoka's lightsabers were said to glow green in her duel with Maul during the Siege of Mandalore, as per the story titled Ahsoka, written by Beth Revis back in 2015.
The familiar green energy sang as she activated her lightsabers and moved to engage one last feint.
But they were obviously blue when we saw the Clone Wars revival retell the events of Order 66 from Ahsoka and the clones' perspective on Mandalore.
Your vision is flawed.
When the Bad Batch depicted Kanan Jarrus, formerly Caleb Doom, surviving Order 66, it altered details from the comic series Kanan the Last Padawan, condensing events and shifting key moments. And in live action, Cobb Vanth's backstory from the Aftermath novels was tweaked when he appeared in The Mandalorian. In all these cases, the broad strokes of the story remained, but important details were either changed or omitted in their retelling. Given how Andor the series prioritizes realism, espionage, and moral complexity, the original comics version of Cassian meeting K2, essentially an action-heavy, fast-paced escape sequence, might feel a little too simplistic for the show's tone. Instead, the show could depict a more layered, ethically challenging situation, the type that viewers are used to seeing as part of this series, a tone which is unlike any other piece of Star Wars canon, save for maybe Rogue One. But maybe the series doesn't have to show us the events that led to Cassian meeting K-2SO. Maybe they could just skip it. Let me explain. The biggest reason we might never see Cassian and K-2SO's first meeting on screen is the way series creator Tony Gilroy has said Andor Season 2 is going to be structured. You see, Season 1 played out in mostly chronological order over the course of a standard year, that year being 5 BBY, or before the Battle of Yavin. Season 1's episodes could be broadly segmented into arcs, including the manhunt for the manhunt for Cassian on Ferrix, the heist on Aldhani, the prison escape on Narkina 5, and the uprising on Ferrix.
Fight the Empire!
Season 2 is going to be similar in this regard and divided into 4 3-episode arcs, except this time the timeline gets sped all the way up to light speed. Whereas all 12 of Season 1's episodes told the story across one standard year, each block of 3 episodes will be 1 year in Season 2. That means there's gonna be blanks in Cassian Andor's history still, with at least 3 significant time jumps in these 4 years leading up to Rogue One. This means that by the time we see K-2SO in Andor, he might already be at Cassian's side, with their backstory left unexplored.
I can blend in.
The show still has a lot of ground to cover. Cassian's continued rise through the ranks of the rebellion, his relationship with Luthen Rael and Mon Mothma, the escalating conflict with the Empire, Mon's departure from the Senate and re-emergence as the leader of the Alliance to restore the Republic.
The monster will come for us all!
Her falling out with Saw Gerrera and his partisans, as well as the final steps that lead directly into Rogue One.
What a swell party this is.
There may simply not be enough time left across the 12 remaining episodes of Season 2 to dedicate an entire episode or arc to K2's origin, especially if the writers feel it's unnecessary or if they know it's already been told somewhere else before.
You're right. I should just wait on the ship.
But in a recent interview with Collider's Maggie Lovett, Andor showrunner Tony Gilroy has talked about the first meeting between Cassian Andor and K-2SO, and he shared how he felt he had to deliver on that meetup.
I'm gonna tell you, this is every writer's dream.
During the interview, Tony Gilroy spoke about the weight of Cassian's initial meeting with K-2SO, knowing how crucial the K-2-Cassian relationship is to Rogue One.
It's very high.
So how would you feel if Andor Season 2 gives us a version of Cassian and K2's first encounter which is completely different to what's been established in canon? If we do get a new version, it could be a more complex and emotionally driven story than the original comic, fitting Andor's deeper storytelling approach.
There's a future here for those who dare.
I want to know what you think. Would you rather see Andor retell this story in a way that fits the show's tone, or would you be fine with their origin being left to the pages of a comic? Let me know in the comments, and if you're new around here, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Star Wars content. And as always, remember that the Force will be with you. Always.